contrast, a woman in another town, though praying for financial relief, did so with sincerity, trusting that her needs would be met according to divine wisdom. Her prayer carried weight and clarity, intertwining with prayers of others in similar situations. Gabriel turned to me, his luminous presence filled with compassion. Many believe that prayers go unanswered, but often, it is not because the divine does not listen, it is because they do not truly believe. They speak, but their hearts are closed. Faith is the key that unlocks the power of prayer. I felt a deep conviction settle over me. How many times had I prayed half-heartedly, merely going through the motions? How often had I doubted, allowing skepticism to dull the strength of my words? Before I could dwell on these thoughts, Gabriel guided me forward again. The scenery shifted once more, revealing a sight that sent shivers through my being. Dark, swirling forms lurked around certain prayers, actively working to weaken or block them. I saw how distractions, exhaustion, and fear were often not mere coincidences but deliberate attacks. A woman attempted to pray for her struggling marriage, but as soon as she closed her eyes, she was bombarded with thoughts of insecurity and past failures. A young man, intending to pray for guidance, suddenly felt an overwhelming sense of fatigue and dismissed his prayer altogether. Gabriel's voice was firm. This is the unseen battle. The forces of darkness know the power of prayer and will do anything to prevent it. They plant seeds of doubt, stir up distractions, and whisper lies to make people believe their prayers are futile. I clenched my fists, angered by what I saw. It had never occurred to me that such interference was intentional. I thought back to the countless times I had meant to pray but got sidetracked by my phone. An unexpected call, or simply the thought that my prayers wouldn't matter. Then, Gabriel lifted his hand once more, and a brilliant wave of light cascaded over the scene. I saw people who, despite distractions and obstacles, pressed on in prayer. A mother, despite her exhaustion, continued praying for her children every night. A pastor, facing opposition, still led his congregation in heartfelt prayer. A teenager, new in faith, whispered prayers in secret. Despite feeling uncertain, their prayers shone like fire against the darkness, pushing back the shadows, tearing down barriers. The forces that had tried to stop them recoiled, powerless against their persistence. I turned to Gabriel, realization dawning upon me. The enemy fears prayer, I murmured. He nodded, because it is the most powerful weapon given to mankind. It is not just a request, it is an act of creation. An invitation for the divine to intervene. It changes reality, and those who understand this, who persist despite resistance, shape the world in ways unseen. A deep determination settled in my heart. I had seen the truth. Prayer was not a passive act, it was a force. A battle, a direct connection to the divine. And it was time for me to wield it with purpose. Gabriel looked at me, his presence radiating warmth. Now, there is one more thing I must show you. With those words, the realm around me shifted once more, leading me into the final revelation that would change everything I had ever known. As Gabriel lifted his hand once more, the scene around us transformed. The celestial web of prayers faded, and I found myself standing before a grand, shimmering structure. It pulsed with energy, its golden light shifting like waves across its vast surface. This, Gabriel said, is the prayer repository. Every prayer ever spoken, every cry of the heart, every whispered hope, it is all here. I was overwhelmed by the sheer immensity of it. Thousands, no, millions, of prayers wove through the structure like threads in an infinite tapestry. Some glowed brilliantly, their energy radiating outward, while others flickered weakly, struggling to maintain their presence. Prayer exists outside of time, Gabriel explained. A prayer spoken generations ago still moves within the divine framework, shaping events beyond what the one who prayed it could ever imagine. I stepped forward, drawn to the endless streams of light. Gabriel gestured toward a specific thread, and suddenly, I was immersed in a vision. I saw a woman kneeling in prayer decades earlier. Though her face was unfamiliar, something about her felt connected to me. Her voice trembled with desperation as she prayed for her descendants, that they would walk in faith, be protected, and fulfill their divine purpose. Then, like a rushing wind, I understood. This woman was my great-grandmother. Her prayers, spoken long before my birth, had created ripples that still moved through time, affecting my life in ways I had never realized. Tears welled in my eyes. How many times had I believed my prayers were insignificant? How many moments had I doubted that my words had any lasting impact? Yet, here was proof. Prayer was eternal. Gabriel turned to me with a knowing look. And just as her prayers shaped your life, so too will yours shape the lives of those who come after you. The weight of his words settled deep in my heart. I had been given a gift, not just the ability to pray, but the knowledge of what prayer truly was. It was a force, a bridge between the seen and unseen, a power that could alter destinies. Suddenly, a familiar scene appeared before me. I saw my own body lying on a hospital bed, surrounded by doctors working frantically. Machines beeped in urgent rhythms, their screens displaying my fragile vitals. My family stood nearby, their faces etched with worry. My mother gripped my hand tightly, her lips moving in fervent prayer. My father stood beside her, whispering his own desperate plea. "Do you see?" Gabriel asked. "Even now, their prayers create waves of energy, forming a shield around you." I watched as threads of light extended from their words, wrapping around my body in layers of golden warmth. The energy was tangible, alive, responding to the depth of their faith. It was their prayers that held me tethered to life, urging me to return. Gabriel's voice softened. "It is time." A sudden pull, like an invisible current, swept through me. The celestial realm began to fade, replaced by the harsh glow of fluorescent lights. A jolt of pain coursed through my body, and I gasped for air. The beeping of machines intensified. The voices of doctors and nurses blurred together in a chaotic symphony. My mother let out a cry of relief, tears streaming down her face as she squeezed my hand. I was back. In the days that followed, as I recovered, the experience remained vivid in my mind. I could no longer see the threads of prayer, the glowing networks of faith, but I could feel them. Every time I prayed, I sensed the connection, the divine response. I no longer prayed out of routine or obligation. I prayed with intention, with the full understanding that my words shaped reality in ways beyond my comprehension. My return to life was not just a second chance, it was a calling. I began sharing what I had seen, teaching others what I had learned about the true power of prayer. My patients, my colleagues, my family, they all listened as I described the unseen realm where prayers lived and breathed. Some were skeptical, others moved beyond words, but I knew that the truth had taken root. The most profound change, however, was in how I prayed. No longer did I see prayer as a mere request. I saw it as participation in the divine act of creation. I prayed over my patients with a new fervor, visualizing the threads of healing interwoven with their lives. I led prayer groups, teaching others how to align their faith with God's will. And as I did, I saw miracles, small and great, unfold before me. One evening, as I knelt beside my bed, I thought of my great-grandmother. Her faith had reached through time to shape my journey. And now, as I whispered my own prayers, I knew they would one day do the same for someone else. Prayer was not just a cry for help. It was an eternal force, a power that moved beyond the limits of time and space. And with every word spoken in faith, the universe shifted. I had seen it, I had lived it, and I would never pray the same way again.